Hey everyone, this week we will be going into some pitcher game logs. Now, if you didn't see my tweet earlier, I'll have it pasted here shortly, but my tweet of basically compiling pitchers' ERAs if they remove their 3 worst starts. Great idea from Jeremy Frank, by the way. MLB Random Stats, go follow him. But I was curious to see the pitchers to get their 3 worst starts. Now we're not going to do that per se in this video, but I'm going to show you how to basically create a plot of a rolling ERA by start or by appearance. I'm going to show you how to do it via the date or via appearance number. So let's get right into it. We're going to load in our packages. So we got 3 packages today. So we got library baseball R. I could spell library. So library baseball R, library tidyverse, and the team colors package, because we're going to do something cool with that. So if you want to install those packages and you don't have them, just run this function install.packages and then put in quotes either baseball R, tidyverse, or team colors if you don't actively have it. Otherwise, just run those libraries. So we're going to get right into it. So what we're going to be doing is pulling pitcher game logs from FanGraphs. And there's an easy way to maybe pull pitcher IDs. So the first idea is we can do pitcher IDs, and then this can give you a better idea of what data you can scrape from FanGraphs. So we'll say FG pitcher leaders. And basically from the XY is just selecting the year, so 2022, 2022. And all qualified pitchers, so pull that data, and you can see there's 300 variables. But we can just select the player ID. So we'll do this. Select player ID from the column and name. So you have an idea of what their player ID is on FanGraphs. Now there's another way you can look at it through Chadwick, but I feel like this one's a little bit easier and cooler because again, there's 300 variables. Feel free to look at it on your own. Really neat, but you can kind of see all of these names, and it was sorted by ERA. So with that being said, let's look at maybe a player ID or 2 based on their rolling ERA. So we'll start with Justin Verlander. So let's do player, we'll just call it player DF. And we'll do baseball R, pitcher game logs, FanGraphs. And that player ID, which again is for Verlander's 8,700, and then the year 2022. So run that, and then you see you get a crap ton of columns, 198, and it basically goes through each start and how much, basically your typical FanGraphs stats, contact percentage, pull opposite, the value of each pitch, so on and so forth. But feel free to look at it again on your own time. But we'll get right down to business, just like we're Eminem. So with that player DF, let's create a rolling ERA function. And we won't even need to use that player DF. We'll just be able to pull it from the ID. So let's call the rolling ERA function ID. And we'll scroll down, and then we'll call this DF. When I write functions, I like to just call it a DF, short for data frame. And so we'll say baseball R, pitcher game log, same thing. But this time we'll say player ID equals ID, because when we write a function, whatever we put in that ID argument here will go into the ID argument for pitcher game logs. And then year equals 2022. And we'll go to df again, df. This time we'll do dplayer select. And so with this player df, we'll select player name, date, team, inning pitch, and earned runs. So with what we're doing here is just being able to get their rolling season ERA with the data presented. So we'll do player name. If I can spell it correctly, holy cow. Date, team, innings pitch, earned runs. Feel free to adjust whatever you want. But this is a good segue into kind of what we're doing here. So then select those columns, arrange it by the date, then mutate it. So what we're going to do here, and this will be a useful function, because when you're recomputing ERA or recomputing things involving innings pitch, if you do 7 2/3, right, it's going to show up as 7.2. So really, you're dividing by 7.2 when it should be 7.667, right? So this is a quick and easy way to convert that, and then when you have rolling starts, get the correct ERA. So we're going to create a new column called IP outs, and we're going to do floor IP times 3. So what that will do is, let's say you do throw 7 2/3 innings pitched. It will take the floor of that, which is basically the round down value, and in this case it's 7, and then multiply it by 3, so you've got 21 outs. And then additional outs, we'll say ADDL underscore outs, and we'll do IP, and then the double % sign is a modulo. And what a modulo basically does is takes something after a decimal. So in this case, when I say modulo 1, I'm taking the first thing after the decimal. Then I'm multiplying it by 10 to get the accurate number of outs. So if it says 7.2, getting the 0.2, multiplying by 10, it's 2. Because he got 2 outs in that 7 2/3 outing. And then total outs equals IP outs plus additional outs. And what we're going to do next is take that same df, and we're going to group by. So we're going to take that dplayer function, group by that player name, which again is based off the ID. And we're going to do a few cumulative sums, so that way we can get the earned runs and the earned run average. So we're going to say season outs equals cumulative sum. We're going to say total outs, add a comma, ER, which is earned runs, again, another cumulative sum, earned runs. And then we're going to do ERA for each outing, and we're going to say round, and then double parenthesis, I should say, earned runs times 9, divided by, and this is where season outs comes in, so season outs divided by 3. So that way it gets a pitcher's ERA over time. Makes it nice and easy. So what I'm going to do next is add in some code. So if you have been paying attention to my GitHub page, I have an additional repository called helper files, and I recently added in this in here. So if you want a quick and easy way to convert team abbreviations that FanGraphs gives you, or some other places might give you, into full team names, so you can then plot logos or team colors, things of that nature, you can do so. So what I'm doing here is adding it in here, and it will be posted on GitHub, but basically it's going through, it's running a case when, where we're replacing the column team with the full name. So ARI, Arizona Diamondbacks, ATL, Atlanta Braves, BAL, Baltimore Orioles, so on and so forth. Going all the way down the line. So feel free to pause if you want to type it out, if that's easier on you. But The other way of doing this, again, is to go on that helper file or view it on GitHub right here. So that being said, we're going to add this, and then basically what within the case when, so if we're saying all 30 teams, but if someone has like 3 dashes sometimes, that just means they're playing multiple teams. So like Jordan Montgomery would be an example. Frankie Montas would be another example. Guys who have played multiple teams in the season. And you can change that relatively easily as well if you need to. So, and then what we'll do here is appearance, and that just gets the road number, so that way you can get the cumulative appearances. So if you want to just go by appearance or by date, you can do both. Next, we're within the function still, we're going to add the MLB colors. So we're going to do team colors, and it's just a data frame called team colors. And we're going to use the filter function from dplyr. So actually I would say dplyr filter just to make sure. And then we'll say name in unique $$ team. So what that basically does is pulls that unique team. Since we typed out the entire name, we'll pull that team name and get the colors if you like. So we'll continue on and we'll create a plot. So we're going to do plot, ggplot, our data equals df, and then we'll say AES, x equals date, y equals ERA, and then we'll add a grouping column because when we did a group by earlier, we have to use that same group. So earlier here, we used group by our player name. So basically that data frame is now a grouped data frame. So therefore, we need to use that data frame group. Now, there's other ways of doing it, but I found this easiest for me. So we'll do it that way. So group equals 1. Then we'll go geom line, and we'll say size equals 2. And then our color is equals to unique MLB underscore colors $primary. And what that will do is pull that player's team primary color to get that line. And then we'll do another one, which you can add this if you want, otherwise you don't have to, but basically I'll add a line that says the league ERA. So we'll make this size 2. The y-intercept is 4, which means the league ERA is 4. And then we'll add the color, and again we'll do unique MLB underscore colors. This time we'll do secondary instead of primary. Then add that plus sign, and then we can get dynamic here and say GG title label equals paste. And so what this paste will do will make it dynamic in the sense that if you type in various player IDs, it will change based upon the name of that player. So we'll say rolling ERA of unique, if I can spell unique, $$ player name, and then comma, in 2022. And then I always like to add a nice little theme classic. I'm always a big theme classic guy. And then because we have like multiple sections, if you will, of, you know, we have a DF call, we have an MLB colors call, we have a P call. We need something to return that function. So simply you just type in return P. So that way, when we run this function, it'll collect all this data, and then we want something to return at the end. And in this case, we want the plot to return. And just make sure that the closing bracket is at the bottom here. That matches the top bracket up here. So now that we have that, we'll run it. Now it's in our console. It runs as a function. So then you scroll a couple lines down, do rolling ERA function, and we know that Verlander's ID is 8700, so we'll run it, and right then and there it shows our rolling ERA of Justin Verlander. Now you can zoom in and it'll get the dates all lined up, So this basically shows the season total of Verlander's ERA. So roughly around, we'll say, if I can pull this up, hold on. Roughly around the middle of June is when his ERA peaked, but now it's just slowly going down. It's going a tad back up, but then you can see like the primary color of the Astros is blue and then orange is secondary based on the plot shown. So let's do it for another player so we can look at Dylan Cease maybe. So we can 18525. Run that. And we can see Dylan Cease. So like the difference between Verlander being the ERA leader here and Cease being the second in ERA right now is early on Dylan Cease struggled, and then he just caught fire, and I mean literal fire after his start in late May. And just started to drop precipitously. So you can kind of see like the various differences between the two, and feel free to do another one. So we'll do one more. Let's go down and find, if I can find him. I don't know if he has it or not, but we'll be all right there. So we'll just do Sandy Alcantara with 18684. So we'll type in there. And boom. So we can kind of see like early on he got really good, then he had a couple less than stellar starts, and then was able to get back. But now if you wanted to change it to appearance, you can change it actually right here. So go back to date and you can change it to appearance, because we created that appearance, and just rerun the entire line of code, or lines I should say, and then we can run it again, and this time appearance changes there. So whatever's easier for you. Again, like dates can be very mushy at times, but if you zoom in, you can very likely be able to see it. And so we can do this for other pitchers too. So yeah, going back to Verlander, we can see, over time, his appearance is like he's been a consistently good pitcher, whereas someone like Dylan Cease, prior to the end of May, was a rather volatile pitcher, as you can see here, but then just caught stride. So basically from his 10th appearance onward has just been dominant. So I showed you how to create a rolling ERA function using FanGraphs data. I showed you how to pull FanGraphs pitcher leaders, so you can pull stats here if you want to. I showed you how to pull game logs from FanGraphs for each pitcher, and then I showed you how to create a function that allows you to get a pitcher's rolling ERA over season. So I think it's really interesting to see this, and man, does it fire me up to be able to show you this and present this to you. I really get a kick out of this. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.